He lived in a time of complete chaos, and his answer to everything was to make life simpler. Confucius, a name everyone knows. But what most people don't understand is that he wasn't teaching religion or philosophy for the sake of it. He was teaching survival. Because, when your world is falling apart, when everything feels complicated and overwhelming, the answer isn't to add more. It's to cut away everything that doesn't matter. And what he discovered about simplicity could change the way you live right now. So let's set the scene. About 2,500 years ago, China was a mess. The government had collapsed. There was no real authority. Different regions were at war with each other. Violence was everywhere. Trust was dead. Society was breaking down. And in the middle of all that chaos was Confucius, a teacher, a thinker, someone trying to figure out how people could actually live good lives when everything around them was falling apart. Most people in his position would have come up with complicated systems, complex theories, rules for every situation, but Confucius did the opposite. He looked at all the chaos and realized something. The reason everything was falling apart wasn't because people didn't have enough rules. It was because they'd forgotten the basics. They'd forgotten how to treat each other with respect, how to be honest, how to keep their word, how to take care of their families, how to live with honor. All the complicated political systems and fancy philosophies in the world couldn't fix what was broken, because what was broken was simple. People had lost sight of what actually mattered. So Confucius started teaching something radical. He said, forget everything complicated. Focus on the basics. Do the simple things right, and everything else will follow. But here's the thing. Simple doesn't mean easy. In fact, simple is usually harder. Because simple means you can't hide behind complexity. You can't make excuses. You can't pretend you're doing something meaningful when you're really just making noise. Confucius knew this. He saw people running around, stressed and overwhelmed, trying to do a million things at once. And most of it was pointless. Most of it was just distraction from what they actually needed to do. He said, life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. Think about that for a second. Your life is probably more complicated than it needs to be right now. Not because it has to be, but because you keep adding things. More commitments, more distractions, more stuff, more goals, more drama, more information, more choices. And all of it makes you feel busy. But busy doesn't mean productive. Busy doesn't mean happy. Most of the time, busy just means confused. Confucius saw this pattern everywhere. People filling their lives with things that didn't matter, and then wondering why they felt empty. So he started teaching people to cut through all of that, to focus on what was real, what was simple, what actually made a difference. And he broke it down into a few basic ideas, not complicated theories. Just simple truths that anyone could understand and actually live by. First, he said, treat people the way you want to be treated. That's it. You don't need 1,000 rules about how to interact with others. You just need one. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Sounds simple, right? But think about how often you actually do it. How often do you say things to people you wouldn't want said to you? How often do you judge others by standards you don't apply to yourself? How often do you take without giving? Confucius wasn't interested in theory. He was interested in practice, in actual behavior, in the small, daily choices that add up to a life. Second, he said, take care of your family. Be a good son or daughter. Be a good parent. Be a good brother or sister. Because if you can't handle the relationships right in front of you, you're not going to change the world. People in his time, just like people today, wanted to do big things. make a difference, leave a legacy. And they'd ignore their own families while chasing these grand dreams. Confucius said, that's backwards. Start with what's right in front of you. Master the small circle before you worry about the big one. If you can create peace and respect in your own home, that's already more than most people ever do. Third, he said, be honest, keep your word, say what you mean what you say. Don't lie, don't pretend, don't put on a show for people. This seems obvious. But look around. How many people actually do this? How many people say one thing and do another? How many people present a fake version of themselves to the world? Confucius saw through all of that. He said a person's character is revealed in the small moments, in whether they do the right thing when nobody's watching, in whether their private life matches their public image. And here's where it all comes together. These aren't complicated teachings. They're simple, almost too simple, and that's exactly why most people ignore them. Because simple truths are uncomfortable. They don't give you room to make excuses. They don't let you off the hook. You can't say, well, it's complicated, when the rule is just treat people right. You can't say, I'm too busy, when the instruction is take care of your family first. You can't say, everyone does it, when the standard is be honest. Simple cuts through all the noise, all the justifications, all the stories you tell yourself. And that's what Confucius understood. That's what made his teaching so powerful. He didn't give people more to think about, he gave them less. He stripped away everything that didn't matter and left only what did. But here's the question. Why is this so hard? Why do we keep complicating things when simplicity works better? Because complexity feels safer. It feels like you're doing something. It gives you the illusion of control. If you have a complicated plan, a detailed system, a million things on your to-do list, you can tell yourself you're making progress, even if you're not. But simplicity is exposed, it's clear. You either did the thing or you didn't. You either treated that person right or you didn't. You either kept your word or you didn't. There's nowhere to hide, and that scares people. Confucius didn't care. He said, this is the path. It's simple, it's clear, and it works. Whether you do it or not is up to you. Now let's bring this to your life. Right now, today, you're probably overwhelmed. Too many things to do. Too many decisions to make. Too many options. Too much information coming at you from every direction. And you're trying to manage all of it. Balance all of it. Keep all the plates spinning. But what if you stopped? What if you asked yourself the question Confucius would ask? What actually matters here? Not what's urgent. Not what other people expect. Not what looks impressive. What actually matters? For most people, the answer is simple. Your health, your relationships, your character, your peace of mind. That's it. Everything else is extra. Everything else is noise. But we don't live like that. We sacrifice our health for work. We ignore our relationships because we're too busy. We compromise our character for convenience. We destroy our peace of mind chasing things that don't make us happy, and then we wonder why life feels so hard. Confucius would tell you, it's hard because you're doing it wrong. You're focused on the complicated stuff and ignoring the simple stuff. And the simple stuff is what actually matters. So here's what simplicity looks like in practice. It means saying no to things that don't matter so you can say yes to things that do. It means having fewer goals but actually achieving them. It means having fewer possessions but actually appreciating what you have. It means spending less time on social media and more time with real people. Less time consuming and more time creating. Less time worrying about what everyone thinks and more time being who you actually are. It means treating the people in your life with respect. Not because it's complicated, but because it's simple. Because it's right. It means keeping your word. Even when it's hard. Even when nobody's watching. Because your character isn't built in the big moments. It's built in the small ones. It means taking care of your family. Your real responsibilities. The people who are actually there for you. Not neglecting them while you chase some distant dream. This is what Confucius taught, and it worked. Not just for him, but for millions of people, over thousands of years. Because truth doesn't change. Simple doesn't go out of style. The basics still matter. They've always mattered, and they always will. You don't need more information. You don't need a more complicated system. You don't need to figure out some secret trick that nobody else knows. You just need to do the simple things. The things you already know are right. The things you keep putting off because they seem too basic. Treat people right. Keep your word. Take care of your family. Be honest. Focus on what matters. That's it. That's the whole teaching. Everything else is just details. Confucius lived in chaos. Complete societal breakdown. And he found peace by making life simpler. By focusing on what was real and letting go of everything else. You can do the same thing. Right now, today. Stop adding more. Start cutting away what doesn't matter. Strip your life down to what's actually important. And then protect that. Build on that. Live from that. Because simplicity isn't about having less. It's about making room for more of what matters. And what matters is simple. It always has been. Watch the next video to go deeper into ancient wisdom.